What's going on TikTok and YouTube and wherever else I decide to upload this. So this video I've been wanting to make for a while to hopefully bring some clarity to the Israeli Palestinian war. Now people have to understand this is not a new war. This is not some new conflict that just recently started over some disagreement. No, this is a very ancient war. It has been happening since the time of Moses. His writings are the first 5 books of the Old Testament, and we are told over and over again about the enemies of Israel. The book of Deuteronomy chapter 7 specifically lists those enemies, and among them are the Canaanites. Well, that's where Palestine comes in. They are descendants of the Levantine people. The Levantine people are Canaanites. And the Old Testament, God orders Israel to utterly wipe them all out. The book of Numbers, chapter 33, verse 55, warns Israel the consequences of not wiping them all out, and that at some point they will become future enemies of Israel. And that's exactly what we see taking place. We are in the future that the past writings spoke of, and Palestine has rose up as an enemy of Israel. They are the modern day equivalent to Canaanites. Now, I understand the war is brutal. There are lots of casualties, and sadly, lots of them are children. But that's nothing new. If you read in the Old Testament, every time God sent Israel into war, he told them, wipe your enemies out. That means everybody. The men, the women, the children, the elderly. Everyone gets it. Everyone gets wiped out. And again, the book of Numbers, chapter 33, verse 55, explains the consequences of not doing so. And so now Israel's dealing with those consequences because they had mercy on some of those Canaanites. The Canaanites now have descendants. They are the Palestinians. They descend from the Levantine people. So what we're seeing is an ancient war break out, and we're seeing the last of the Canaanites get wiped out. Now you got to remember, there are moments of peace between the two sides, yes, but then something happens and war breaks out once again. Well, recently, what happened a few years ago? Palestine invaded Israel. There's plenty of footage of them killing people in their cars, killing children, killing women. So Israel responded with violent and extreme force. That's what happens when you start a war. When you invade a country and you start a fight, that country is going to use military force on you like you've never seen before. So Israel responded with violent and extreme force. What did Palestine think was going to happen? They were just going to come in, invade, murder people, and that was it? They were going to get their water rights back? That's not how things work. They should have handled it diplomatically, went to the United Nations. They should have went to the world courts. There's ways to handle this, but they started a fight. So Israel is now taking the fight to them. And it's an ancient war. There is no coexisting. They will never be at peace with one another because they've been fighting since their ancestors, their great ancestors. Netanyahu himself says all of Palestine will be wiped out and they're going to take the Gaza Strip. Well, that's an ancient war right there. That goes back to the book of Deuteronomy, the book of Leviticus. They all must be utterly wiped out. The enemies of Israel cannot stand. Now, I know people get emotional because the news is always showing us the children. And yes, it's very sad that children are caught in the crossfire of all this. But again, like I said just a moment ago, it's nothing new. Read the book of Nahum, chapter 3, specifically verse 10. So Nahum is about the fall of the city of Nineveh. If you look up Nineveh, they were worshiping fallen angels, the same fallen angels from the Sumerian clay tablets. So God sent in armies to the city of Nineveh. Chapter 3, verse 10 specifically says the children were dashed into pieces in the streets. The children are always caught up in the middle of these wars within the crossfire. Why is that? Well, the book of The Art of War by Sun Tzu, in the very first chapter, it's mentioned that to completely defeat your enemy, you have to wipe out the children. Why? Because as you're a soldier going to war, you're young, you're strong. But at some point, you will age, you will become weak, and the children of your enemies will grow up and become young, strong warriors. And then they will become a problem because they want revenge for what you did to their ancestors. Again, that's exactly what the book of Numbers, chapter 33, verse 55 is telling you. It warns Israel, if you don't wipe them out, they're going to become your future enemies. So that means obviously they didn't wipe out all the children. Those children grew up, reproduced, and here we are all these years later, and war is still happening. It's brutal. I understand that. I don't condone, destruction of anybody, regardless of age, but it's war. It's prophecy. It has to happen. This is just the way it's going to be. Revelation chapter 17:17. God is putting it in the hearts of men for them to do the things they are doing so that his word will be fulfilled. I mean, look at the Charlie Kirk situation. Yes, he is a martyr. Yes, it's extremely sad. But when Jesus returns, he's going to be wearing a red robe stained in the blood of the martyrs. So that means it must come to pass that believers will be killed. The book of John, chapter 16, verse 2, Jesus himself says, there's going to come a time when he who kills you thinks he does God's work. And according to Revelation 17:17, yeah, they are doing God's work. Believe it or not, the good and the evil are fulfilling God's work and fulfilling his will. Romans chapter 9, God is the potter. He can make a piece of pottery for glory, or he can make a piece of pottery for destruction. And he can make a piece of pottery he's going to use temporarily and then destroy it. So a lot of these evil people who are fulfilling his will, yes, they still will be destroyed and judged, but I mean, it's prophecy. There is no stopping it. There is no stopping prophecy. And all this is happening. Why? Well, read Ezekiel chapter 38 and 39. We see at some point Israel is going to be invaded by armies, multiple armies, and that the city of Jerusalem will be surrounded by those armies. When that happens, God will rain fire from the sky onto those armies. The book of 1 Kings chapter 9 verse 7, God says he's going to make Israel hated among the nations. He is going to make Israel the point of mockery and ridicule among the nations. So anyone who talks bad about Israel, they have no idea that they are fulfilling Bible prophecy. Yes, there are bad people in Israel within the government, the Zionists, the Mossad, their secret intelligence agency. Yes, the book of Romans chapter 9 tells us this. Not all who are of Israel are Israel. For God said he loved Jacob but hated Esau. Why would Paul write that? Because a good majority of the Jews are not Jews. They're Edomites. They are the descendants of Esau. They are the great imposters. So yes, I understand there are very bad elements within the Israeli government. But the believers have to understand is Israel, the Holy Land, has so much part of prophecy that we can't want Israel to be destroyed. We have to back Israel. There's so much prophecy pertaining to the city of Jerusalem. I mean, the Antichrist has to rise up and rule from Jerusalem. When Jesus returns, when he gathers up his elect and we are taken, we don't go to heaven, we go to Israel and we go to fight. Read Zechariah chapter 14. A lot of people think about this rapture thing like they're going to get taken out of here and go to heaven. Like, no, the Bible says we are gathered together. He sends the angels to get us. That's Matthew 24:29 through 31. And then in Zechariah 14, we are all taken into Israel to fight, to defend Israel. Therefore, we must defend Israel. Yes, there's bad people within Israel, and yes, those people will eventually pay for what they are doing. Ezekiel 38 and 39, again, it says that Israelites will begin to be taken into captivity.